Hello everyone, welcome once again to my creative studio. As promised, I am going to be doing today the tutorial for the little flowers that we used on the little photo books. They're super easy to make. They're kind of addictive once you get a hold of how they're done. You will want to put them on everything. So you can do from super tiny to the larger ones. It all depends on what pattern you have. And for these flowers, you need like different flower shaped punches, like these. That's the one I used for that one. This one is not a flower, but it's a scallop, so anything that resembles a flower would work. This one is more like a starburst. And then this is just a regular flower die that I use from my die cutting machine. So as you can see, you can use different shapes to make them. You can get the punches at your local craft store, or you can buy them online, like these. That's for that one. And like I said, there's multiple punches that you can use. This was not even a flower punch. It was just a random punch that I bought at Hobby Lobby, and I thought that it might look cute for that. So or you can trace any flower shape that you get from the internet. You can just trace it and cut between 3 and 4 layers of it is what we're going to use. So for this one, I used 3 layers. And for the smaller ones, I used 4. And I just want to show you quickly how you can use these flowers. Like you can make these all the way up to here. This is a scallop, like the same shape as these, but in a large punch. So you can make them small or you can make them large, and you can mix and match. And then of course you can add your leaves that you can just cut out a leaf shape with a pattern that you find online. This is another example of it. So they look very cute. They add a lot of dimension to all your projects. And like I said, they're easy to make. All right. So your materials would be any type of cardstock that that you have at home. If you want to start practicing with just regular plain white paper, you can do that. Just be aware because these need to be wet. Just be sure that you need to be really careful with if you're using just paper because it can tear. So I recommend just cardstock to make them, right? So we're gonna need our cardstock and our punches or shapes that you're gonna cut. We're gonna need a paper piercer or something that has a sharp point that you can pierce through all the layers. We're gonna need a sprayer bottle with some water in it, and we're gonna need some brads. This is what will hold our flower together. If you don't have these, you can also use glue. It will just take a little bit longer to dry, but you can certainly use that. All right. So let's get to it. All right. So to begin with, we cut out all our shapes. Like I said, I use usually 4 of each. You can use 3 if the flower is large and you don't want it to be as thick as this one. You can use 3 layers. This one has more than 4. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4. This one has like 8. So you can see the dimension with every layer that you add. And just go ahead and spray it. You don't need to spray a lot of it. You just need to spray a little water. And what you're going to do is going to scrunch them up. Make little balls of paper. And you need to give it a little bit of time for it to dry because you don't want to handle the paper while it's still wet. because it might tear. We're gonna go ahead and do them all at once. And some of these papers that have finishes, like this one that has a metallic finish, sometimes the water doesn't want to go through. What I do is I rub them against each other on all sides so it does get in there. If you feel like the paper is still too dry, like it's not scrunching up in a little ball, you can use more water. Just be careful. Make sure that you let it dry a bit more than if it's on the drier side. All right. So just finish scrunching these up. Sorry, a call came through and dropped my video. And we'll do that. A little bit more water because the paper dried up while I was talking. You don't want to over manipulate your paper because you don't want it to tear either. So just once it's good. You don't have to go and keep scrunching it. Now this one, like you can see, it didn't cut all the way through because I put the paper in. It was a little bit too short for the die, but it won't matter because once you got it scrunched up, you won't see that mistake. Alright, so now we have all our little balls of paper. Now we start to unfold them and see how it's already crinkled and gives you that dimension. It's not flat. So we're going to do this with all of them. And don't worry if they're not even, because they're not supposed to. They're all supposed to be different. That's how all the flower petals are anyway. Alright. I think this is my favorite shape of them all. Now from here on, we're gonna start to assemble them. And to do that, we're gonna place one layer on top of the other one. But we're gonna do it uneven, like you're not placing them on the same sequence. So you're just gonna alternate. There we go. And once we have it all like that, then we're gonna do our piercing. So you're gonna look for the center. You can eyeball it. Just look for the center. And just pierce through it like that. And don't worry if it's not in the exact center of it, because you won't notice it afterwards. So we take our brad. At this point, if you don't have a brad, you can go ahead and just lift them up and place them apart and then glue them. As a matter of fact, let me do that with that one. All right. Remember not to stack them directly, just put one on one side, one on the other, alternate. probably have to pierce through these again, just to make sure that, well, actually no, we don't need to pierce them because we're using glue. All right, so we're gonna let it dry. We're not gonna touch them because these are glued, so it'll take it a little bit more to for us to be able to handle them. All right, so let's just assemble our other ones. Remember to stack them uneven. We're gonna pierce through them. All right, and then we'll take our brad and just poke through it. All right, and let's do the same with these. And it doesn't matter what shape of brad you have, you can use any, because at the end you're just gonna cover that in. Once you scrunch them up again, it's gonna be covered. If you don't want it, if you don't want to scrunch them all the way up, or you have less layers, the brad will show, but then we can you can either use a brad that matches your flower, or we can cover that with an embellishment. All right, so let's go ahead and use this one. All right, and then let's go to our last one. And this is the one that I had missed a little edge, so I'm going to use that on the bottom one, so it's less noticeable. Now this one already had the hole made because that was just how the die was, so it's easier to match. And let's put the brad on. All right, so at this point what we need to do is scrunch them up again. Now this is the one that was glued and it's still a little bit wet, so it's harder to handle, plus it's smaller than the other ones. So we just scrunched them up all together. All right, like that, and we just let it sit. And the same thing with these. Now you're supposed to do this once you put the brad on. You're supposed to do it, you know, as soon as you put the brad on, because it's still wet. You don't let it dry completely, because otherwise you're gonna have to spray it again in order for them to take the shape again. So if you're doing many of them and you want to skip that that step, just to do them all at once and then go back and scrunch them up again all at once, you will probably need to spray them a little bit more with water. But as long as it's a little bit wet, you're still good. There we go. And then we'll do this one. And just like a flower, the center petal will be tighter and the other ones will be looser. And that's what will give the flower its more natural look. All right, have that. And then our last one. This is just to make sure that there are no petals that are flat, so they don't look unrealistic. So we want to make sure that all of them have that little crinkle look that makes them look real. All right. And once we have that, then we start to unfold. Now this step, you can take it as far as you want. You can open them up completely and let the brad show in the middle, or you can let it more closed. And you can even curve the petals. It's all up to you. It depends on how you want your flower to look. Now since these are square shaped and not rounded, I would just leave it more close than spread it apart, just so that it doesn't show that it's like square. This one I'm gonna open up a bit more so we can put something in the middle. All right, and then the last one. And if you don't like the way they folded, you can certainly mold them to, or shape them to how you want them. You can certainly spray them again and redo the crinkling or scrunching, and take them to the shape that you want them to be. All right, and that's it. That's how you do them. So let's do some embellishments on the center, so you can see. Begin at that. All right, and we can use hot glue. This one has a little sticky side on the back. Look how pretty that looks. And then for these, you need to use a larger embellishment if you want to cover the brad. You can even use buttons. They look cute too. So for the ones that I had already made, you can see that there's like a little bit of shine to them. I'm gonna give you a little secret. I bought a pen. It's called Wink of Stella is what it's called. And I found about this pen when somebody was asking for a glitter pen, and they came up with this. I didn't even know that it existed. So it's just a little pen that has a little well, the barrel in here, you put water in it. This one is filled already. You don't put water in it. If you want to reuse it, you can certainly put more water in it. But it comes like in two, see? And it's full of glitter and some type of medium. I guess it's more than water that's in there. And you can just brush it, and it leaves just a wisp of glitter in there. So it adds a little bit of sparkly touch to your projects. I love how it looks. So that's why those were glittery and the other ones are not. So there you have it. That's your flower tutorial. Now go ahead and make some cards or add them to your little books, even to your journals. You can use that. Let me know how you liked it, and always come back. I'll post some other tutorials during the week so you can keep yourself entertained during the quarantine. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.